watch this film, one thing that pops out at me is that we make decisions that are huge. We make decisions sometimes based on how smart we are and all the information we have, and sometimes a little bit of luck. Do you feel that about these guys at this time? That it was a little combination of all of that, or?
Well, I think there was that. These guys had to make the right decisions all the way through during these 13 days. I mean, the 13 days didn't wind itself down to one seminal moment.
Right.
Crisis occurred every day. It was like nothing was going right. Nothing was going right. Anytime they even had something maybe go right, it quickly fell back downhill, and they had to start over. So these guys were in a sense of crisis for 13 days, and they needed luck, you know, and they also needed goodwill on the other side to be working on some level. They needed a lot of things to happen. I mean, we have to depend on the goodwill of other men and women at a certain point too, because all of whatever we can do, a lot has to do with how the other person's going to react.
I think I was probably 10 when this went on. I remember doing duck and cover and doing all those things in school, and also being worried. But I think my parents were a lot more worried than I was.
Well, of course.
At the time.
Of course, they had more information. Not that it was a lot, but the implications of it were, you know, it was difficult to hide, no matter what voice the president wanted to put on things, because they always use highest priority. You know, those are words where like we're in deep shit. You know, but you know, people get used to words, and all of a sudden they hear a certain group of words that are meant to be as kind of medicinal. That maybe is a bad word, but they're carefully chosen. But you read between the lines. But we're in a lot of trouble.
Did you end up with the film you set out to make?
Yeah.
On this one?
Yeah.
Are you pleased with it?
Mm-hmm.
What pleases you the most?
That we made it. You know, at the expense of conventional wisdom. You know, that you can't make movies like this now because they're not going to be #1 at the box office. But we made it anyway, knowing all those things.
Well, and you also have. I'm fascinated at the idea that we know the outcome before you go into the film because it's historical. Right. But at the same time, if it's well written, it creates all of that tension and relives that moment.
Well, that's the gift of the writer. You know, and then the gift of everyone else is to understand if it's good writing, to kind of adhere to it.
I want to ask you an off-the-wall question about, it's a little different, about drive-ins. Do you have drive-in memories when you were growing up?
Total.
Yeah, what's one that pops out at you?
I have a million. I remember, though, the first movie I saw, I think, was 101 Dalmatians, and I always remember running to the playground. And under those undulations, right? You know, and kids were getting garroted because they'd forget. They'd so excited, you know, the phone. But, you know, what I remember was usually I always had those pajamas with feet on them. Yeah. And I remember that everything was a double feature. And I remember that I could never stay awake for the double feature because I used to always go back on the ledge in the back seat and lay there where my face would touch the window, and it was really cool. And I would sleep up there.
It's a great memory. It's a good feeling. Nice to see you.
Okay.
Hey, good film.